All right. Thank you, Tyler, for Instagram basics. All right. Now we're moving on to Facebook basics. Okay. Shannon Simon says, more fiction content. We're going to get there. I promise you. We're going to get there for sure. I know that as a fiction writer myself, that fiction is incredibly difficult to market because you don't have your own persona to fall back on, like these nonfiction authors that can just post about their life every day and have this built-in content every day. It's much harder for fiction. So we will definitely get there, promise. All right. Now, as I mentioned this morning, this is very, very, very basic. So I don't want anybody to feel like I'm talking down to you guys. I just want to make sure that I cover all my bases with everybody who may not know the really, really simple parts of these platforms and how to get started. So we're going to start with what is a page versus what is a profile versus what is a group. These are three things that you need to be able to utilize well to do your marketing. So everybody needs a profile to have a Facebook, right? That's what your Facebook is it's your profile, right? But not everybody needs a page and not everybody needs a group either. And pages are separate from your profile. And they can be about anything you want. They don't have to be about you. They can be a page for your book. They can be a page for your business. They can be a page for anything that you want, literally. And then groups are separate because groups can be about anything you want as well. But groups are more about that interaction with other people and connecting with other people, which is going to be very important for you later on, especially for you fiction writers. So which do you need? Well, that depends on who you are and what your platform is. And if we have a theme for this conference, the theme is that each of us as authors needs to build a platform. And we'll talk about that later on in the day, how to get there with building your platform. What does your platform look like? It's all very individual. So we're going to try to hit all the points that we need to make sure that you understand how to build a platform for you and what you represent. So which do you need? Groups. If you create a group, other people can post there. So for example, we have our Cedar Fort creators group, right? Any of us can go and post there and we can see what other people post there. So it's meant to be a place where everyone can contribute to a conversation. I'm part of a group called LDS Geeks or something like that. And that one's really fun because people constantly post memes all day long. And it's right up my alley with geeky stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek and nerdy stuff like that. And so think about that idea when you're starting a group is what community do you want to build? What do you want to build that community around? Now that group that I just mentioned, LDS Geeks, it happens to be because the person who started it has a blog with the same name. So now they have a group with thousands of followers on it. And every time they want to promote a blog post, they put it on there and they have this built-in audience with people that have the same interests. So they already know that they're going to connect with those people when they post a blog post there. But everybody else in the group is filling up the content of the group most of the time. And so we'll get into that a little bit later too. I hate to keep saying that to you guys, but this is basics right now. But there is a rule in which 80% of the time you don't want to be selling. You only want to sell 20% or less. Okay, so groups can be open and groups can be closed. So what that means is that you can have a group be by invitation only, or you can have where anybody can join the group. And you get to moderate who joins the group. And you can also choose moderators to help you moderate the group. They're called admins. So an author could use a group as a book club. That would be a great idea. Or as a collaboration space, like how we use the Cedar Fort one. And groups, like I mentioned before with the geek page, the LDS Geek page, it can drive traffic to your page. And it kind of will build in that 80-20 split that you want. 80% not selling, just good content, 20% selling for you without you having to do a ton of work like you have to do on your Facebook page, where you need to consistently be putting out content that people can engage with every day. Now, pages are an informational place, right? So a page can be for like a business or a person, and it's basically just a profile page for that business or that person that is more professional than just a profile, right? Because your profile, your grandma can talk to you on there, your mom can post stuff on there with you, and you can interact with your friends from high school and that sort of thing. But a page is more professional, where people won't necessarily be interacting with you the same way you would do on your profile, if that makes sense. Pages also appear in Google search results, which is really helpful. Groups do not, however. So keep that in mind, that maybe you want to have a group and a page if you want to work, whatever works for you. But just keep that in mind, that groups do not show up in Google search results. Now, pages can, like other pages, you can list business hours, you can connect to your website, and you can even sell on pages. But groups, you can't do any of those things. So those are the main differences. I'm just going to hop over and, okay, we're good on comments. All right. Okay, so what is a news feed? Now, so a news feed is a page that you can endlessly scroll, and it's where all of the posts from your friends and the pages you follow and the groups you follow, all of that is populated. Now, Facebook uses an algorithm, and that's how they decide what you get to see in your news feed. It is not an actual feed, a real-time feed at all. There are things that you may have noticed can pop up on the top that are from 3 days ago. And there's kind of some rules with this algorithm of how this works, and we'll go over that in the advanced Facebook. Okay, now tagging on Facebook is it's pretty easy to do. You just do @ and then you start typing their name or their page. Now, not everybody has allowed Facebook to let them be tagged. So you can change that in your settings. If you don't want people to tag you on posts and things, you can change that and have that taken off so you don't have to be bothered by that. However, I don't recommend you do that if you're using Facebook as a promotional tool, especially if you're collaborating with people. One of the frustrating things that has happened to me over and over and over again, when I do a podcast with an author or something and I want to put it on Facebook and I try to tag them and I can't tag them. And if I could tag them, then what would happen is Facebook would send them an alert saying you've been tagged in a post, and then it would just make it easier for them to find that post and share it. Also, your friends can sometimes see if you've been tagged in a post, which is nice if you're collaborating with somebody and you want them to see what things you're working on with other people, that your friends and followers will see you. It depends on the algorithm and how much engagement and stuff the post is getting, but it can work occasionally. I've seen it. Okay, now text delights are kind of a fun thing. Let's see, how can I show you how these work? Hold on a second while I pull up Facebook. And then I need to share the screen, so give me just a second. Okay, so here's my Facebook. Text delights are fun because when you do a word like congrats, and now it's not going to do it for me because I'm live, because that's how it works, right? Maybe it'll work on my phone. Let me grab my phone. Oh, the banner still says we're back. Let me get rid of that too. Maybe it's because I'm creating a post and not commenting on somebody's post. That's probably the problem. So here we are. This is the live post right here. It's still not working. This did work when I started. Okay, here we go. So there we go. Apparently it doesn't work on desktop anymore. It used to. So on your phone, if you write congrats, you notice that it turned it orange and bolded it. And so what happens is when I post that, let me be sneaky about this. If somebody clicks on it, it does fun balloons. So there's a couple different ones you can do. Let me get back to my slides. So you can do congrats, or any version of congratulations will actually work. You're the best wishes, hugs and kisses, you got this, or you can do it, or any variation of that will work. You know it's going to work if it gets bolded and goes orange or red, depending on how your screen works. Now, Facebook changes these all the time. So as you can see from my demonstration, trying to show you on the desktop, it may not work tomorrow. But as of right now, it does work, at least on the phone. Okay, now let's go over how to do messaging. This is just very, very basic. So this is, if you're on your desktop, this is what the messaging icon looks like right here. You can see the big red arrow. And then you can see that will bring up the little message box right here. And that's how you get to your messages. Now, sharing, how to share a post is very easy. At the bottom of every post, it doesn't matter if you're on your phone or you're on the desktop, there's this little share button right here. You can see that arrow. That's going to bring up this drop-down menu over here to the right that says share now. Let me go over these options with you and what these mean. So share now public, that's just going to bring up a post window, and it's going to have an option for you to put some comments in right there. And you can choose where you want to share it. So your timeline, or if you have a page or a group, you may have some options for that as well. Let me go back a little bit. The share ... Okay, actually, I said this backwards. So the share now will just share it without giving you an option to type in a message. The share ... gives you the option to type in right there what you want to share. Back again. And then these are pretty self-explanatory: share in a group, share in a message, share on a friend's timeline, and share to a page, etc. Okay, now this might be of interest to you if you don't want everybody to see every post, but you do want some people to see posts. So if you decide that you don't want a page and you don't want a group and you just want to use your profile, which some of our authors do, and that's fine. It works fine. It really does. But maybe you want to post things to just your friends and you don't want anybody on the internet to be able to see it. So you can choose these different options right here where you can be public, just your friends, and you can actually make friends lists. This is my nemesis right here that I've blocked. She's not allowed to see any of my stuff. Jokes don't go over so well when you don't actually have an audience here. And then you can do specific friends. So like if I wanted to choose 5 friends or just my author friends or whatever, and then you can also do it just for you. And that's kind of fun because Facebook does where you can see posts from like a year ago. They do on this day, a year ago, and 2 years ago, and etc. So that's kind of where that would show up there. So you can kind of use Facebook like a journal in that way. Okay, now there are hover over emoticons. So if you're on your phone, you need to hold down on the like little icon. Now, if you're on your computer, you just hold the mouse over it and these will pop up, and that gives us a little bit more variation in our reactions to things. These are engagement, so it's good when people want to send you different ones because it increases your engagement, just liking in general does as well. And engagement is what our goal is. Engagement is the most important thing on Facebook. So what does Facebook consider engagement? So commenting, sharing, liking, watching, opening up a picture is engagement. Clicking on a link is engagement. If someone saves a post, that's also considered engagement. Now, why do we care about engagement? It's because of that algorithm that I talked about before. That algorithm, when it sees engagement on a post, it pushes that post up through the news feeds of anybody who follows you. Okay, now we're going to talk about accessing your page. And I'm sure that some of you want me to continue going on about engagement and how that works, and I promise I will, but not right now. This is beginner Facebook. We will definitely talk about that in depth later on in the day with our advanced classes. So to find your page, this is the desktop right here. This is the little icon that you need to push where the gray arrow is. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. You cannot. So yeah, the gray arrow is the icon that you need to click on. That will bring this drop down menu down. And then you can see I admin the Cedar Fort page, so it's right there. And then there's my page right there. And that's how you get to it. Now let's talk about making your page look as good as possible. Because I'm assuming since you're here at the beginner Facebook, maybe you don't have a page, or maybe you're not really utilizing your page to full effect. So we want to add as many details as we can. So here I've got a nice profile picture. That's as good as it gets for me without Photoshop. So there we go. Now, right here on this red arrow that points at my name, I want to point something out. You cannot tell what I do, can you? Can you just look at this and know what it is that I do? No. It says author, blogger, YouTuber, but author of what? Blogger of what? You know, it's just not very descriptive. And that is so small where I have that. It's beautiful. I love it because I love the colors, and that's why I did it. But now that I know more about marketing, I know that this is not going to cut it. And then before I move on to the next slide, down here, this bottom arrow pointing at the Learn More button, what that's all about is you want to edit that so that it will take people to, where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to go to Amazon, where you can choose where you want it to go. Okay, so now here it is. Upgraded. Now, can you tell what I do? I think immediately now when you go to my page, you know exactly what I do and what I want you to know that I do, because I do a lot more things, right? So I don't need to put like kids carpool to school on here and, my church calling and stuff. But I want people to know that I'm an author, and that's the first thing they see. It's still beautiful, but it gives them a really good idea of that I write books and what kind of books that I write. And if you don't know how to do graphics like this, go back to last year's conference and I did a Canva tutorial. Canva is an online program that you can make graphics like this really, really simply. Okay, now let's talk about engagement a little bit more. So when you're looking for engagement, you want to ask for comments without asking for comments, because that's the caveat right there with the algorithm, is if you say comment below, Facebook doesn't like that. And so unless you have really good engagement with clicks or something else, it's not going to move your post up. So how do you get comments without actually asking for comments? Well, here's an example. This is a fun one that's been going around, the predictive text. People cannot resist it because it's so funny, right? So this is one I did for my latest release, and I'll just let you read it for a second there. My Bigfoot boyfriend is, and then you let your phone fill in the rest there. And you can see I got, for me, this is really good engagement. So it says here I got 50 engagement. I reached 139 people, and this was organic. I didn't pay for this ad. I just put it out there in the Facebook universe, and it worked pretty well. It had 18 comments on it. I don't spend a significant amount of time on Facebook, so that was a really good day for me. Okay, now the number one thing was engagement. Number two thing is being social, right? Because it is social media, right? If there's any other lesson I can get across to you today is that you need to be social on social media. So if you get a comment, respond to it, even if it's one that you normally wouldn't respond to. And be positive. Of course, don't start fights on social media, although sometimes those can really bring up the engagement if you're fighting back and forth with somebody. But not just notice here, I commented on everything. And if I knew them personally, I made it, kind of personal as well, so that maybe they would respond back again here. Okay, now if you're on your page and you need to edit the page, you will see these three dots right here. Notice I'm on the home page. Look under my name where it says Valerie Loveless at Valerie Loveless channel. Below it, it says home. So when I'm on the home page, there's these options over here with this drop-down menu. This is how you change and make your home page, your profile page really pop. Your profile too. But we're talking about pages right now. Okay, some more no-nos on Facebook. Again, we're back to this 80-20 rule. Do not be selling all the time. Like, who would want to hang around with somebody digitally or otherwise that is constantly like shoving their products in their face? We think of the mall cart people. Like, you try to avoid eye contact. You don't want to look at them. You don't want to talk to them. You're just really short with them. Don't be the mall cart guy on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere on social media, and don't do it in person either. 80% of the time, you need to be providing content that your followers will enjoy. And then 20% of the time or less is when you can sell. That way you don't be pushy and annoying, okay? Another is be social, okay? Respond, create conversation. If you're not responding, your posts are not going to move up through the algorithm, okay? Up on the news feed via the algorithm. A big no-no, and Tyler talked about this too. It's a theme today. Don't post junk. Just don't do it. Content is king. It's the most important part. If you're really struggling on social media, it's probably because of your content. It's because you're not following the rules of the algorithm. And we'll talk a lot more about that later today. And your posts are probably just not up to snuff, is probably what it is. So always post the very best that you can. Really put the effort into it. Your Facebook represents, or your Instagram, whichever one it is you decide to go with, but we're talking about Facebook right now. It represents you and your business. Have you ever gone onto a company's website and it's horrible and it makes you think, this must be like a really low class company? Well, it's the same with your social media as you as a person, right? You want to represent yourself in the very best light that you can. Okay, and that is the end of Facebook. I'm going to hop over and see if we've got any questions. I've got 6 comments. I don't know if they're questions or not yet. Okay. Okay, Mark Hansen said, on pages you can also buy ads, but not on profiles. That's right. And we will go over that in social media, in Facebook Advanced later today, which will be taught by Tyler, and he's going to go over ads and how that works. Can we get a copy of the slides? Sure, we can do that. Thank you, Mark. He said we're laughing anyway. Thank you for laughing, even though I couldn't hear it or see it. Okay. Our next class is in 5 minutes. It's the newsletter basics. So if you haven't started a newsletter yet, please hang around for that. Got a couple more questions I'm going to go through. How do we find last year's conference for the Canva tutorial? Well, I'm going to have to repost it because it's on Facebook and I have it hidden. So you can only find it with the link. So what I will do is I'll make it available for anybody to see. And then you just need to go to our YouTube channel, which you're already there, Val, and you'll find it there. Okay. What makes a post junk? Good question. So a post that's junk is going to be a post that is like a really bad, dark picture that it just doesn't really demonstrate what you're trying to show. The internet is all about seeing things with your eyes, right? So it's the eye candy thing. And Instagram primarily, but Facebook as well, right? So if it's a really low quality picture, that's a big no-no. If you have a bunch of spelling errors and grammar problems and punctuation problems on your post, that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And then just something that's not very interesting could be considered a junk post. So keep that in mind. Let's see. This isn't directly towards me, but I'm just going to throw it up here from Scarlet Pike. So even though I use a Facebook page app, I still have a hard time actually seeing when my page is tagged. There are definitely problems with the Facebook page app. And I don't know if it's just the iPhone one or if it's both the Android and the iPhone, but it drives me crazy because you have to have the app on your phone. And it's really annoying. Okay, so I'm going to shut this down so that Tyler can get set up for newsletter basics.